You're with the Sound of Ideas from IdeaStream Public Media. I'm Glenn Forbes. Thanks so much for being with us this hour. It is midsummer. Feels like it's getting to the end of summer. Boy, once you hit that 4th of July, it just goes like crazy, doesn't it? Hopefully that means you're getting a lot of time outdoors, but it's also the favorite pastime for bugs, some of whom carry disease or are invasive to our natural habitats. Experts are warning that Lyme disease is on the rise, carried by ticks, which, a fun fact, I suppose, are technically arachnids, not insects. We're once again seeing the spread of invasive spotted lanternflies. Bug experts say to stomp those on sight. Scientists are worried about the threat of this species on plant life and agriculture. Joining us today to talk about these and other summer bugs to watch out for, Dr. Rachel Kapler, Forest Health Collaborative Coordinator from Holden Forests and Gardens. Good morning.
Good morning.
And Dr. Mark Willis, a researcher and biologist from Case Western Reserve University. Doctor, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, good morning. I'm great to be here.
If you'd like to join the conversation, give us a call, 866-578-0903. That's 866-578-0903. You can also email us, soi@ideastream.org, or tweet us. We're at Sound of Ideas. Mark, we'll start with you. Let's talk about ticks. How do they get to us? How do they spread? I know tall grass is an issue, and with Lyme disease on the rise, what do we need to look out for?
Well, they never have wings, so they get to us by hitchhiking on other mammals like rodents, deer. We certainly have plenty of deer in many of our yards. So that's how we get them close to us, and when we go out hiking, we go and meet them where they live.
Our last guest, Christopher Hardesty, was talking about his dog had Lyme disease. They had to treat it for 30 days. Pets, obviously, this is a huge concern for pet owners as well.
That's right. Anything with warm blood that breathes out carbon dioxide is attractive to ticks.
Rachel Kapler, some of the factors at play for the rapid spread of ticks in recent years in Ohio, we've seen some warmer temperatures, humid conditions. What can you tell us about, I guess the conditions that lead to this increase?
Yeah, we've seen some changes in the weather over time, and there's some cases where we see a longer, warmer period during the year and not as cold winters or as cold as they used to get, which can help increase the length of time that they're able to breed. And there was also, a wonderful thing for us in learning that, nature's a nice place to go outside and relieve stress. But because we spend so much time outside recreating, we have to remember that that's where they are and to check ourselves when we come back in.
I would imagine, just like anything else, early detection important for humans and for pets when it comes to Lyme disease. What are some of the signs to look for?
Well, usually with ticks, they are going to be somewhere on you, and they can also be in your clothes, so it's good to look through there. But that will be for some people, you might get an itch or a crawly feeling on you. Usually I will get an itch if it tries to bite me. But they do take a little bit of time to really dig into you and bite you. So once that happens, you'll definitely notice, and it's very important to keep the tick, don't get rid of it, so that you could test it to see if it has any diseases, and then call your doctor if you end up having in the next week or so, or if you call it right away as well, any kinds of excess fatigue, fever, aches, headaches, just feeling very sick but not certain why, with that, it's very important to get early treatment and early assessment on yourself.
I was going to say, it seems like, normal symptoms for being sick, but if you notice that bite and then you see those symptoms, that's the time to call.
Exactly. So usually at our location, Holden Forest and Gardens, if we have any sort of issue there where we have one that's bit somebody, we keep the tick and we tell them to be on alert for any kinds of symptoms.
All right, very good. We're speaking with Dr. Rachel Kapler, Forest Health Collaborative Coordinator from Holden Forests and Gardens. Also, Dr. Mark Willis, he's a researcher and biologist from Case Western Reserve University. You can give us a call, 866-578-0903, if you have questions about ticks or any of these other summer bugs. Mark, what we talked about, the symptoms and kind of how that comes about, what should people do to protect themselves from ticks? Is it just long sleeves, long clothing if you can?
Yeah, exactly. First, I guess to just be aware that they're a possibility when you're out hiking. I mean, it's really tough right now. If I go out hiking, I wear shorts. But if you really don't want to have contact with these guys, you would wear long pants. You would tuck your pants into your socks. Be aware that if you get them, that they sort of orient to tight spots. So around your waistline, where your belt is, those are the kinds of places to look for them specifically. And you might consider wearing light colored clothes, because they're all dark brown and they'll show up very easily on your clothes.
Rachel, you mentioned if you do get a tick bite and you see it, don't get rid of it, you keep it. So then where do you bring it? Do you bring it to you? Who do you bring it to?
No, I can't handle that.
Well, you talk about getting it tested. Yeah, who do you bring it to for that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have it on you. It's attached with what we call it. And so you have to make sure you use tweezers to pick it off as close to your skin as possible. Because their little mouth parts can get stuck under your skin, and that makes it extra itchy for me anyways. And to put it in a bag, a container. You can put it in the freezer to make sure that the tick is preserved and dead, and call your doctor, and they will know where you can send it to in order to get it taken care of. Also, you can learn more probably at OSU Extension or any of the hospital web pages for testing locations.
Okay, very good. Wanted to get to a couple emails here. You can email us, soi@ideastream.org. This is from Claude in Cleveland Heights. He says, I have something new in my garden this year, small black-winged insects with white spots. They fly and or hop in short bursts. They travel alone, not in groups. Good news is they don't seem to be harming or eating anything as far as Claude can tell. So what are they, and are they pests?
Yes, they are the immature stages of spotted lanternfly.
Oh, boy.
I live in Cleveland Heights, and this is the first summer that I've seen them in my garden. As they get older, heading toward adulthood, red begins to appear when they molt on their body. So they actually, in my opinion, are kind of pretty, but they are very good at detecting our movement. They hop really fast, and so they're hard to stomp on, that's for sure, for me.
We'll get back to I definitely want to talk a little bit more about spotted lanternflies, but we do have another email from another Mark that I wanted to talk about. He says, we used to have a vaccine for Lyme disease, but it wasn't popular enough. We have tick vaccines for dogs. Europe has a vaccine. Mark writes, what's wrong with America? Who wants to field that one?
Well, that's... I don't know.
But just, yeah, any thoughts on the vaccines, tick vaccines, for dogs, and what I guess was previously a vaccine for Lyme disease?
Well, as far as I know, the early treatment of it with antibiotics is what we're working with right now here. And depending on the situation, the kind of vaccination that you would need in order for that might be like any vaccination, like with the flu, where you would need a new and different one each year. And with the large, vast landscape we have in America, you might get regional differences in the virus or the bacteria that's giving you Lyme disease. So it can be very tricky for a large country like us to do that, but I would say it's probably not impossible. So we'll see as time goes on just how much we may get a rise in incidences of Lyme disease and how that will pressure that kind of advancement to happen.
You can call us at 866-578-0903. Josie in Euclid wants to know, we talked a little bit about this, but is there a specific amount? How long does a tick need to be attached before it can transmit disease?
It varies with the disease and the tick, but it's kind of, it's not like a mosquito. These things need to be on you for hours or days before the bacteria can transition from the tick into us. There's one very recently recorded viral disease that's carried by ticks that we experienced our first human death from in the state of Maine, that is said to transition from the tick to us in as little as 15 minutes.
Wow.
And it's new. It's a virus, not a bacteria, so antibiotics, bounce off it, and we have no vaccine for it. So all we can do is treat the symptoms.
Yeah, the earlier you have any kind of symptom afterwards, the sooner you should get to seeking medical attention. But as a rule, for me, usually if I have a tick that's been embedded and I notice it within 24 to 36 hours, I keep it, like I say, and I wait to see if I have symptoms. But say I have been camping out in the woods for 2 days and I didn't know, and I have no idea when it got onto me. If it's been there for more than 36 hours, you really need to notify your health professional and see what they would like you to do. But it would be a good preventative to go in and get checked, or at least have the tick checked. So
That's Dr. Rachel Kapler, Forest Health Collaborative Coordinator from Holden Forest and Gardens. Dr. Mark Willis also here with us, researcher and biologist from Case Western Reserve University. Rachel, we talked a little bit about the spotted lanternflies before. This is kind of, I guess, the second year we're really hearing a lot about them. They've got this reputation as a nuisance. Why the concern, and why are people so worried about their effects on parks, farms, and forests? They're an invasive species. What do they do?
Well, because they're from Asia, they are an insect that, as we had said earlier, is sort of in a nymph form. It looks a little bit different than when it's adult, and we notice it much more when it's an adult because it's about an inch long and it's gray and it's hopping and flying and gathering together on different trees and plants. So they can be a pest in a number of different ways. We're worried about them the most on their preferred species that they like to be on, which is things that we would use for agricultural crops like grapes and apples and cherry trees, maple trees. And so, but there are many different trees they get on. But the thing is that when you get them in such an abundance, it's like 1,000 tiny little cuts on a plant. They're sucking out the sweet feed liquid from the plants, and then their excrement is causing issues at the base of the plant with mold and attracting other insects and issues there. And so if you have so many of them, that's just another thing for us to worry about, and making sure that we have good harvests on certain crops. And then issues on another stressor on our normal trees and plants that they get onto that can cause any extra increasing stressor on your trees will make it more likely that it will die, whether it's right away or a little bit later.
Want to squeeze in a couple phone calls if we can here. Let's go to Chris in Lakewood. Chris, you're on the air.
Oh, hi there. This is Dr. Marzoli, Cleveland Clinic, and I just wanted to interject a little bit that, in the emergency departments and urgent care centers, we do not test ticks. The CDC does not recommend routinely testing ticks, even if they've been attached. Even if a tick is carrying a bacteria such as the one that would cause Lyme disease, it requires a certain amount of attachment time. If you're in a highly endemic area, talk to your doctor about a prophylactic dose of antibiotics. Definitely remove the tick. Good cleansing to prevent secondary infection. But then really the watch and wait for signs of tick-borne illness such as fevers and chills, aches and pains like headaches, and then certainly any rashes. So Please do not bring us ticks, though. We cannot test them at the hospital, and the CDC and several other, American Academy of Pediatrics as well, do not recommend testing tick just because the tick may be positive does not mean it is necessarily transmitted or will cause you infection. There are some private labs that you can send it to if you're curious, but not routinely recommended. Thanks so much.
All right, doctor. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And unfortunately, did you have a comment there?
No,
Yeah.
I said that was great.
Okay, very, very good. That's Dr. Mark Willis with Case Western Reserve University. He is a researcher and biologist there. Dr. Mark Willis, thanks so much for the time. Appreciate it this morning. And Dr. Rachel Kapler with Holden Forests and Gardens. This was a great topic. Thank you guys so much. We certainly appreciate it.